literally slept with cubs in my bed every night. And this is where the big lie comes in, or the con under the veil of conservation, if I can explain it like that.
Welcome to Nature's Guardians. I'm Micah Siegel. Each week, I talk with people working to save and help animals around the world. They are nature's guardians, and you can become one too. Today, I'm talking with Brenton Bester from Kevin Richardson Foundation. Welcome to the show, Brenton.
Hey, Micah, how you doing?
Great, how are you?
Fine, thanks. It's a nice warm evening here in South Africa, just outside the city in the bushveld. But yeah, it's going fine.
So what's the most important thing you're working on right now?
Well, at the moment, we are quite busy here at the foundation. So we have an ongoing sanctuary that's currently taking care of just under 30 predators, mainly lions, some leopards, and then hyenas that have been rescued out of the captive industry here in South Africa. So we permanently take care of them, making sure they are as happy and healthy here in captivity. And then, unfortunately, they will never be able to go back to the wild just because they have become way too imprinted on humans.
So tell us about your organization.
Good. So Kevin Richardson's Wildlife Foundation mainly started with Kevin himself. About 25 years ago, Kevin started working as a young man or a young conservationist at a very popular lion and predator facility closer to Johannesburg site, which is like one of our main cities here. Unfortunately for Kevin, but fortunately for the animals, he soon realized that there's a whole industry revolving around the captive breeding of mainly lions, but other predator species as well in our country. And unfortunately, most of these facilities operate under the veil of conservation, but it's actually one big con. So Kevin realized that a lot of unethical things are happening with these animals, and the main reasons why they are actually bred in captivity is quite sinister, and just for monetary or money purposes at the end of the day, to exploit the animals basically. So Kevin then basically realized this, and he wanted to save and protect as many of these predators from the bad, unethical places. So he basically then started the sanctuary on his own, where we wanted to provide these animals with the very best care to the fullest definition of a true sanctuary, provide them with a forever home where they can just live as close to wild lions and hyenas and leopards should have lived,
So I've spoken with Peter Lindsay. He's another conservationist. And so can you give us, he says lions are doing pretty well overall. So can you give us a bit of context and what's going on with lions, really?
Okay, yes, of course. So if you look at the bigger picture, or generally speaking, like here in South Africa, for example, the wild populations of lions in our very small reserved or protected reserves, like the Kruger National Park and some of the other smaller game parks, their population is stable. And, they are, like you said, doing well. So I can agree with that. But unfortunately, not a lot of people are actually aware that here in South Africa, when it comes to the captive industry, we actually mass breeding or commercialize the breeding of lions for mainly more sinister purposes. Like I've mentioned, either it starts off as something quite cute and cuddly with the cub petting industry, when the lions are small and, cute and cuddly to take nice pictures with. But unfortunately, as they grow up and they become real lions, that's where the more unethical stuff starts to happen, where we do see a lot of lions, unfortunately, entering into the hunting industry and we call it the trade in their bones or their skeletons, unfortunately. So regards to that, we are seeing a lot of lions basically living in prisons and being totally exploited for those purposes. Yeah.
Let's talk about cub petting.
Fortunately for me, or unfortunately, that's how my story started with working with lions. I actually applied for this job at a small lodge or a game reserve, and at that stage they had about a pride of 7 lions that they were intensively breeding with. So at that stage, The job was very hands-on. I helped raise the baby lions. Like I literally slept with cubs in my bed every night. And this is where the big lie comes in, or the con under the veil of conservation, if I can explain it like that. Because these types of farms are so sneaky in how they present themselves. Everything actually looks quite above board. They really do take care of the animals to some extent. And then basically you are told that, no, you are actually raising these baby lions, to go back to the wild, to contribute to wild populations and stuff like that. And they really, really paint this dream picture, which at the end of the day, unfortunately, is not the truth at all, And after the first baby cub or baby lion that I raised, I soon realized that unfortunately, most of these lions end up in these places like I've mentioned. So particularly when it comes to cub petting, that's the start of, I can say, this whole evil cycle that we see lions in captivity basically end up living in. Basically, they say that within the first year of a lion's life, that's when it has almost its most economical value, when it's cute and small and cuddly, and people from all over the world flock to South Africa for these wildlife encounters and interaction, without even, thinking twice about what's really happening here behind the scenes. At the moment in South Africa, there is nothing really being done against the law or the current legislation, which is also a big problem. So when it comes to cub petting, specifically, it basically happens throughout South Africa on farms where people have legal permits to breed with lions. But the issue comes in the way the current law is written. As soon as these breeding pairs or breeding prides of lions start to breed and they give birth to their cubs, those cubs, unfortunately, they no longer fall under the Wildlife Act, but they're actually considered as domestic livestock. And similar to, chicken and sheep and goats and stuff like that. Yeah. And that's basically where these breeders, if I can call them breeders, have almost found a loophole in the system. And they unfortunately exploit this to the max, with lionesses having a very short gestation period, especially in captivity, and giving birth to litters of cubs, almost, 3 to 4 cubs per litter. There's a constant supply of baby lion cubs and tourists from all over the world, that want to take pictures with the lions. So unfortunately, the more unethical things then start to happen later in these lions' lives. Like I've mentioned, as soon as they start maturing, they're becoming real big lions. It becomes way too dangerous for almost anybody to interact with them physically. And that's where that's where we sit in our country with a population of about, the experts say, between 12 to 14,000 lions, which is almost triple what we have in the wild here in South Africa, where they're basically trapped in captivity and then sold into, like I said, the hunting industry or the bone trade and stuff like that.
So tell us more about the bone trade and canned hunting.
When it comes specifically to canned hunting and then obviously the bone trade, it is also quite a big problem, specifically in South Africa. A lot of these farms do, not operate under the radar, but it is quite hush-hush in terms of, just recent media upheaval, or over the years, being featured in the media. But they typically, these farms are not connected to the breeding facilities where, let's say, the cub petting happens, or, where it's predominantly more open to tourists. These types of farms are more behind the scene. But they actively do advertise the lions on their hunting websites as trophy animals to hunt for people all over the world to come. And believe it or not, is even as gruesome as it sounds, on these websites, there's like these lion menus, where you can literally handpick the lion you want to come and hunt. But what these hunters, a lot of time, they don't realize and they don't know, it's all staged, and it's all, also a big fake at the end of the day. Canned hunting is luckily illegal in South Africa, and there is quite strict laws and consequences if people get caught doing it. But unfortunately, there's always sneaky ways around the terminology of what is considered to be canned hunting. But I think the latest statistics are there's almost over 400 farms or 400 facilities in South Africa alone where they actively, operate as a lion hunting farm. It's all staged. So these hunters, so-called hunters, because at the end of the day, it's not real hunting whatsoever. They come, they get to these hunting lodges, and then basically they handpick, like I said, the lion they would like to hunt. And then they release these animals in very small camps or enclosures where, firstly, the lion cannot even defend itself. It can't escape. It can't get away from the hunter. And then a lot of times, to add to the animal's distress, but to make it easier for the hunter, they do sedate and, drug the lions to make them more, just easier target at the end of the day. So that's what I mean. It's all so staged and so fake and heavily commercialized just to get the hunter as in and out as quickly as possible, and with their trophy animal, going back to their homes. But luckily, not all is lost. Specifically regarding canned hunting, there's a lot of international airline agencies who has actually banned transporting any form of trophies and stuff like that as cargo, which has actually seen quite a decrease, I would say, in or the, how can I say, the what's the right word, the easiness or the access to basically take your trophy home.
Does the CITES treaty allow these trophy hunters to take like a head or something as a trophy back home?
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you, about the latest CITES regulations, but I do believe for a long time that it was completely legal and, that was completely unregulated. So that's just regarding, normal hunting trophies and stuff like that, which is also a big problem, which you also asked, but I forgot to mention, is the trade in lion bones. Okay, so we've seen a dramatic increase in the number of captive lions being exclusively actually bred for the bone trade as we know it, mainly influenced or mainly caused by Asian countries like China and some Southeast Asian countries like Thailand, Laos, and Cambodia, due to their weird and wonderful beliefs in their traditional medicines and spirituality. But at the end of the day, completely unscientific, like we all know. And actually, our government issues, I think, about 800, between 800 to 1,000 carcasses may be exported legally every year, So, and that's only what we know of. Unfortunately, these types of industries thrive underground. So we can only imagine, what the true statistics are. But also over the years, we've seen an increase in other countries, like I've mentioned, Southeast Asia, where they import lion bones from South Africa, and then they actually mix it, or they try to cover it up and sell it off again as tiger bones, because it is quite difficult, if you're not an expert, to tell the difference between tiger skeletons and a lion skeleton. And obviously, for just the traditional medicine markets, tiger bone is much more valuable in the eyes of these people than lion bone. In my opinion, that's the most horrendous and the most unethical of all of these different, how can I say, businesses revolving around the lions. Because when it comes to the hunting industry or the canned hunting industry, at least there still needs to go a certain level of care towards the animals, to keep them fit and healthy and at least looking in a good condition. But particularly at these bone farms, from what I haven't seen a lot in South Africa or personally experienced a lot this, but from what I have seen, that the living conditions or the care that goes to these animals is absolutely minimal in terms of they basically just live off scraps and get hardly ever clean water, and horrendous like enclosures or animal husbandry is not even happening, because they literally just want to keep the lion to grow a little bit or reach its adult body size, and then they cull them and harvest them for their bones, which is very sad.
Let's go back to the canned hunting. Is it legal for these places to advertise online for trophy hunting?
Okay, yes. So when it comes to the hunting industry, sorry, I just want to clarify something specifically when it comes to hunting of lions in South Africa. So there's a big difference between normal hunting and canned lion hunting. Okay, so specifically with canned lion hunting, like I've explained before, that's where the lions are completely confined to literally a tin can, like a small enclosure where it can't escape, it can't defend itself. What you hear what I'm saying? So that is completely illegal. They're not allowed to, promote it, advertise it, do anything about it. So, but this is where it gets also a little bit blurry in terms of the law, because in certain provinces in South Africa, it is completely legal to hunt lions as a way of, controlling their population in small reserves and stuff like that. So, and in terms of, normal trophy hunting or, I can say normal hunting, there's no real legislations or laws prohibiting these hunting lodges or camps to advertise their service.
So is there a government quota on trophy hunting?
I am not so obviously the government, in terms of the permits and the regulations that they have to issue for keeping these types of animals on their premises, there's certain, quotas and stuff like that is in play. But like any other country, I guess, corruption is king in South Africa. So a big problem we are seeing is that some government officials or people in power that have the power to actually, protect or help these animals, they most certainly have a finger in the pie as well in terms of kickbacks or, stuff like that. That gets paid to them by some of these farms.
How much does it cost to go to South Africa and shoot a lion, either canned hunting or normal trophy hunting? And who does it?
I'm not the expert when it comes to the pricing. I haven't really been interested in doing that. But I did do some research, and they say that more or less these lions, there's no regulation, so these farms come up with wild prices, whatever really tickles their fancy. But I would say anything between, 100,000 to between actually 50,000 to 100,000 rand. You can easily come and shoot, a lion yourself.
Yeah, that's about $5,000 to shoot a lion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of money, so and that's why these farms, they really do operate on a commercial level, where it's not just one or two lions that get shot every year, but literally by the thousands.
So who are the trophy hunters?
In South Africa alone, hunting is considered to be quite a traditional sport. You grow up hunting with your dad, and it's quite big in the Afrikaans culture and community. But obviously, mainly when it comes to these trophy hunters, it's mainly people, from overseas, from the US, from Russia. We, as the Kevin Richardson Foundation, we form a part of the greater Dinokeng Game Reserve, which is actually the only Big Five game reserve in the Pretoria or the Gauteng province, so closest to Johannesburg and like our capital city. So we have a wild population of lions as well, and that's what I'm talking about there. I think So they live they live in the wild, so they hunt for themselves. There's lots of, antelope and buffalo and giraffes and stuff around for them to
Mhm.
live a real, normal, natural wildlife the way it should be. Okay. And then specifically when it comes to the Kevin Richardson Wildlife Sanctuary, that's where we house and take care of the predators that Kevin basically rescued from previous unethical facilities. Okay, so these animals obviously they live in captivity. So we are there to basically take care of them. So our cats really live royal lives where. Although don't be fooled, even though lions in captivity, they are still real wild cats. They can hunt. Our cats in the sanctuary, they don't have to hunt for themselves. We basically are quite dependent on farmers in the area that donate all the animals that died of natural causes to us. And then we have a special animal kitchen where we prepare these carcasses and, butcher it up. And then, mainly, but they typically get 2 meals a week. So we feed them 2 times per week. And then depending on their size and their age and their condition, we do feed them nice big chunks of red meat or different portions of the carcass. Typically the male lions can easily get portions up to 20 kilograms of meat in one sitting or one meal. And then obviously after that, they don't eat, a couple of days after that.
So, how do zoos get their lions?
So that's a good question. So typically, like I said, at these unethical breeding facilities where they do actually breed with lions, mainly a lot of these lions end up on the for sale or, on sale list at these types of breeding facilities. And typically, if they're not sold into the hunting trade or the bone trade, especially the younger lions, sometimes often do get bought by, zoos from all over the world or private collectors or, people just basically paying the right price to buy these cats. It is illegal in South Africa to keep a lion without a permit. But there's absolutely nothing illegal in actually purchasing the lion or, actually buying the lion. And you'd be surprised at how easy it actually is to get your hands on lion cubs, tiger cubs, any type of predator you can almost imagine.
So, what do you see for lions for the next 30 years?
Well, I'm really hoping that we can change the trajectory of where things are heading. Not all hope is lost, and especially when it comes to the big cat industry. I know it might sound a little bit doomy and gloomy, but like I said, not all hope is lost, especially in our country. There has been a lot of talks about changing the legislation, and hopefully within the next 5 to 10 years, we will actually see the bill being passed where it will completely be illegal to breed with lions in captivity, which would actually stop this whole lion breeding or exploitation of lions in captivity at its roots. If you really look at the bigger picture, lions, wild lion populations are actually quite stable, and on the increase. If we can just educate people in Africa as well. A big problem we do see a lot, even sometimes more with not even the captive industry, but especially wild lions, is just because Africa, most countries, is still developing country. Poverty and to just put food on people's tables or on people's plates is quite difficult, and here on our reserve, we've seen a dramatic increase in the number of poaching incidents where people just want to catch some bushmeat to provide for their families and stuff like that. They go and they set traps or they set snares to catch like small antelopes and stuff like that. But unfortunately, a snare never discriminates. So we do see a lot of our bigger cats and our predators also ending up being killed in these poacher snares. So if we can just help educate people and make them more aware to actually love and protect species that are living around them, instead of just going out into the bushveld and harvesting to heart's content, if that makes sense.
Thank you so much for talking with me today, Brenton. I hope we can share more about the Kevin Richardson Foundation and the important work they're doing. And thank you for watching. You can help animals by hitting the like button and subscribing to this channel. I'll see you next time on Nature's Guardians. Bye.